Do you know what Franklin's Gambit is?
Sorry?
Franklin's Gambit.
No, that's new to me, I have to say.
I recommend you watch, and it's on their website, the Policy Exchange lecture that Professor John Kay gave the other day. Benjamin Franklin, he quoted saying, "So convenient a thing it is to be a reasonable creature, since it enables one to find or make a reason for everything one has a mind to do." At the end of the day, that's how it works. You decide what you're going to do, and then you find reasons for it. Essentially, there's quite a lot of evidence that proponents of projects go around getting the technical analyses that they want until they say the right thing. And if they don't, they're sent back. The technicians are sent back to produce other numbers until they produce the right ones. And we've seen this many, many times in PFI. And precisely when you've got so many different... You mentioned yourself that the benefit-cost analysis is only one of the contributors. When you've got several important components, key pillars you called them, no matter how much you refine the methodology, who decides whether you put a 29% weighting or a 76% weighting or a 54% weighting on benefit cost ratios rather than something else? Ultimately, that decision has to be plucked out of the air, doesn't it? I'm not asking you, is this all a complete waste of time? Because it plainly isn't. You have to reach for some sort of rational methodology somehow, but at the end of the day, aren't you sculpting with clouds?
No, I don't accept that. I do accept that there are real limitations on how far you can go in forecasting, which we talked about earlier, in projecting the impact that a project like this will have. There are real limitations.
The counterfactual you surely need is not simply the cost of the HS2 or HS1 versus not doing it, but versus the cost of an alternative. For example, what would be the effect of spending £32,000 million on broadband, on travel patterns? And if you don't look at something like that, how do you end up with anything that's remotely useful?
Well, the government, of course, does have a broadband programme.
Yes, £510 million.
And
you're spending 64 times more on rail on one project than you are on the entire broadband.
Tens of billions of private sector investment, of course, into
this is true. It doesn't help the last 2%, which I represent in a very rural area. But I'm interested, if you had a completely wired up, fibred up country, the impact of that on travel would probably be absolutely ginormous.
It's an interesting question.
It is. But are you asking it? Are you asking it, or are you leaving it to me?
No, all I would say.
That's what I'm interested in.
In relation to,
if it's such an interesting question, are you asking it?
I have seen nothing in relation to communications technology which suggests that it is actually at the moment has been damping demand for rail travel.
Are you
asking that question? I mean, Google didn't exist in 1998, so you know. The fact that you've not seen any evidence, it's a lovely phrase, I know government uses it all the time, there is no evidence, but you know, are you asking that counterfactual question? And if not, why not?
To ask as many challenging and questions as we can to understand this project in the round.
Is that one of them? What would happen if you spent £32 billion on broadband?
Not that precise question, no.